Imagine a sort of CLM process. To begin with, we needed to be able to incorporate anything from, say, a greenfield services together with a greenfield application that we deliver, we build from the ground up out at the customer. There's nothing there before. Everything onto analyzing our install base. We have oh great, here we go. And for anything from, building it from the ground up ourselves, adding these services onto it, to being able to incorporate solutions from analyzing thoroughly our install base and being able to incorporate that into our contract. What are we focusing on? What installations? And moving down, of course, it's the same story and the same width of different cases when we come to approvals in our workflow process. So it's anything from a very intricate approval process, going into terms and conditions, all the way over to, let's say, a very small company where we sell a very specific service offering. It's basically, we go there, we look at the scope of it, it's a done deal, and we sign, and we go into our future life cycle of the agreement. So along both of these, it's a very sort of great width of different cases that we need to meet. And of course, eventually also being able to leverage what agreements we have in place, being able to make the most out of that customer connection that we have through this agreement, being able to take it through multiple life cycles, amend it, add to it in terms of our offering, and making sure it's always the most recent offering. And making sure that we have this 360 view all over ABB of what is actually our commitment to the customer. So these are some of our, throughout the contract lifecycle management process, some of our sort of key focus areas and some of our key challenges. We also had sort of three pillars where it was critical that we were able to sort of deliver value, and where it's critical that with the implementation of these and the ramp up of adoption for these three pilots, that we are able to meet our expectations. So first off, our contract setup and the process. So we have it's a big variety of different cases with ABB. We have cross-division offerings, we have different sizes of units and different countries. So it's important that, of course, you cannot have one workflow that will fit all. But the tool that you're using, the framework that you're using, all of these things needs to be applicable across the width of our organization. Looking at the agreements that we eventually store. Now, of course, one of the benefits of a global solution is that it's accessible, it's available to everybody, but of course it also needs to be, losing the word, but it needs to be an access level which is also, from a secrecy standpoint, you share what you need, but you don't share everything, right? So it's there, it's actionable, but it needs to be compliant in the end. And finally, of course, one of the key things here is that we really need to increase the efficiency of our overall process. So this could be anything from making sure that the automated notifications, being notified about where is this contract in this process, down to anywhere workflow being guided, and the person creating an agreement being guided to what is the next step, what is an enforced approval. And in the end, being able to sort of untangle this competitive edge that we have in our agreements toward our customers, and being able to untangle these key people from admins and all this stuff. So this is a little bit about the challenges that we had.
Thank you, Anders. You guys hear me? All right, so I don't want to make you guys lose your place in line for the food truck, and we've got a little time check here. So appreciate you guys hanging in with us. But I think it's really important what Zia and Anders has kind of painted the picture, right? ABB is a very complex business. I'm sure if you guys are from manufacturing companies, you guys resemble that complexity. It's a company that's been around 100 years. It's going through currently a transformation. It's been riding these business cycles up and down. So when you look at the theme of our presentation about agility, that's really, and actually if you think about this session today, it's a microcosm, right? You don't know what's going to happen, right? Power goes off, right? Your presentation falls flat. That's a lot like what happens in the business world. And if you guys been on implementations, you know the best laid of plans, there's always something that happens. So it's it's a mixture of having the right people, the right structure, and a little bit, a shout out to Apttus, having the right tools and platforms in place to be able to react to that. So I'm just going to go, these are going to be a series of slides, hopefully, that we won't drain into. It's more of, from an architectural perspective, what we've learned to govern a complex program and to govern a complex implementation. It's good to have foundational guiding architectural principles in place, right? So what Zia described, what Andrew described from a business process, I'm going to pick up from the very right end about the solution scope. All right, and we won't drain this, but I think the theme is one important kind of litmus test for you guys as you're looking for an implementation. You guys should all have slides trying to explain what you can do that you can explain to your mom, right? Right, it's got to be that simple. If you get beyond that litmus test, let's go back and revisit and go visit your architecture team. Because so much of the platform is about interdependencies, right? You heard about the CLM portion connecting with CPQ, which is really the kind of in the ABB terms, operational sales connecting with strategic sales, connecting to your face to the customer, right? All that is woven in, and it's important to have just basically what are the major building blocks we're trying to connect to one another. Okay, makes sense? Right, and I'm trying to leave time for some really quick Q&A, so I'm going to click the next slide. So again, and we're welcome. We're walking the floor. You see us, come grab us and talk to us. I've got my colleagues here from Accenture. They're welcome to talk to you, go deep dive a little bit more. This is the operational sales part of it. So it's the data flow. It's coming all the way through. All the staging of your sales, it's not important unless you can actually book it in your back office, right? And also calling here, so order management, ERP, you guys all have that picture. This one I wanted to focus on the single plan concept. And again, back to a kind of key success criteria is having a big consistent vision of what you're trying to achieve, right? And being able to connect the different parts of your organization together. We've got representatives here from the US, we got representatives from Europe, right? Having something on paper that you can close the gap on communication, really vitally important. And when you think about our plan to the customer, I've heard many a time, one of the original business cases for this program is we didn't want our customers, when they dealt with us, thinking that they were dealing with 5 different divisions of ABB. We wanted one common interface. We wanted one common view. And really, that's kind of what the business case is about. Okay? Does this resonate with you guys? Are you guys in the audience we're all trying to achieve the same thing?
I want you guys, but before you leave, take away some of the lessons that we've learned, and I'm very open to sharing that with you because this is not intellectual property, it's common sense, but the changes will be constant. No matter where you are, you guys will probably, day and time, what you're working on, what your future roadmap looks like. There'll be disruption, there'll be new team structures, there'll be corporate imperatives coming at the last, there are projects in flight, there are new stakeholders within. I spotted somebody from my team in Poland here, David, sitting, supports our Salesforce instance globally. And defined roles and responsibilities and expectations as the management imperatives changes throughout, that is a moving target. But how do you make sure that it doesn't disrupt your business? So you've got to make sure the team empowerment for us, ABB, and why ABB is ABB today is we are all empowered to execute in our own capacity, within our own area of responsibility without having to go through a lot of red taping. The ownership of everything that we take starts from the time we take it until it's actually, the NPS is captured from the customer. Before that, we don't take our eyes off anything. So these are some of the things that, like a soft learning, throughout especially it's going to be much needed when you do the CPQ project within your own companies. And anything that you may have in the past that, it's the last year's initiative, those days are gone. Now, if you are not looking at your roadmap quarterly, you may be missing the actual impact of what initiatives you're working on. So it's not, 2 years, 5 years plan. It's not this year roadmap or that. It's quarterly, and you will see where Apttus has come in such a short time, and why ABB has selected Apttus because of our pure confidence in the product. The revalidation of demands in flight and scope realignment is going to be a constant job for each one of you involved in application management. So you got to keep your eyes on. It's not about the support side or the management things this way. If you own the application, that's your responsibility, and you got to keep up with the best things that are going on out there. I want to leave you with some of the things that I have learned, and you know, using a modular approach with anything to do from a code to cash. Like I said, it's 28 initiatives that it builds on modular, and you've got 3 geographies. So initiatives at a global level looks differently. When you decompose that in a region, you find that the list of initiatives grow or reduce. Same time, build early success. So with CLM, there are 3 different pilots happening in 3 distinct organizations. We try to build the perception internally as opposed to trying to impose a new formula for success for reducing the headaches in dealing with CPQ need. And unless you can prove really a value of why people should stop doing what they're doing today and get on board with the CRM or CPQ, you've got to be able to really truly tell them honestly that it is going to reduce the amount of work they do today, or it's going to significantly improve their performance, not only of their department, but the company as a whole. So building value is just so, and then ensuring strong front-end adoption. So with the 3 distinct components of our CRM journey, strategic sales, I said, from the lead to pre-RFQ. If that is not done correctly, our mission in CPQ will suffer significantly. So there's heavy influence all throughout the ecosystem in ABB for making sure we do adopt the system as it should. And I have honestly seen in my own career in ABB, we used to have a CFO, a COO, and a CEO with the board. And now we have Chief Digital Officer. Now we have CBDO, Chief Business Development Officers in the regions. Now we have the CMO, Chief Marketing Officers. I honestly think for Salesforce to start thinking about, is there a leadership position up at the top reporting to the board level, thing called adoption officer. So that's the food for thought. I want you guys to take that with you. And then this is my most favorite. I came out with this. I'm in the process of writing a book. I don't know, those of you who look me up on LinkedIn, I started that about 6 months ago. So there are some white papers, which is a little synopsis of this. You learn when you're most uncomfortable. You learn when we are challenged. That is the time you learn the most about yourself, your abilities, and what can you do as individual for the company. So thank you so much. I apologize once again for the hiccup we had through the presentation, but we are here to answer any questions you have.
Let's give him a round of applause. How about we just take like 2 minutes? Any questions for the ABB Accenture team? Anybody would like to ask a question?
Congratulations on the go live. As you guys are approaching this next phase, post-implementation, what's been the approach from a change management perspective with a truly global organization like ABB?
So, very, very good question. The ABB, we have a PMO in the house also from ABB in the second row. The cadence we have created to ensure proper disciplines are in each phase of the project. So we start the change communication and expectation management up front. We're introducing UX, user experience, early on. So, and that builds throughout the life cycle of the project. It is not the last thing on our list, and I'm probably stealing a thunder, but in all honesty, the communication, the change management are the 2 significant investment of the project. So I think it's in the range of close to 20 to 25% of our budget in each one of the initiatives.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions? Maybe one more? Okay, back here, great.
I'm aware that you have many different CPQ solutions today. What's your plan for moving forward, either eliminating, retiring, or moving to Apttus?
I may have missed the last
The
part.
question was, they believe you have many CPQ solutions in-house today, and what is your plan? Will you move them all to Apttus, or what are you thinking in that area?
So as you know, the aspiration is, I don't know how much attention you paid on the slides because we were time challenged, but you have, okay. With each one of these initiatives, any individual application within the ABB's systems globally, we got configurators, different pricing engines, different other workflows on the integrated planning side, logistics. Those have been mapped out early on. That was the basis of building the business case for this program, and it has the timeline of transition. Obviously, you got to make sure the system is adopted properly before you start beginning decommissioning or retiring your applications throughout. So it has its own roadmap. It's an ongoing battle. I mean, those of you involved with the application management, it's a hand in glove type of thing. That is the cost takeout part as well. So part of our business case is, when you make an investment of this magnitude, you've got to have a justification of either reducing the operations cost also and an application cost. So it's part of the whole program.
Excellent, thank you. Let's give them one last hand. All right, so enjoy lunch, and then we'll have the keynote, and then join me back here at 3:15 for 8 building blocks of quote-to-cash business transformation with AppNexus.